Business Book Summaries. Hello there. Today, we're going to talk about a classic book that's all about money smarts called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The author, Robert Kiyosaki, is often seen as a guru for making lots of money and teaching others how to do it too. He was born in Hawaii and had two dads in his life, one who struggled with money, his biological dad, and another who was wealthy. The poor dad, Kiyosaki's biological father, was super smart and went to fancy schools, but he always worried about money. Despite working really hard, he couldn't make enough and even went bankrupt. That's why they call him the poor dad in the book. On the flip side, the rich dad was the dad of Kiyosaki's friend. Even though he didn't finish high school, he was amazing at business and money matters. He had a lot of time for his family and became super rich, one of the richest in Hawaii. So, they call him the rich dad in the book. Growing up, Kiyosaki learned a lot from both dads. They had very different ideas about money. The poor dad would worry about money and say having kids made it harder to be rich. The rich dad, on the other hand, thought having kids motivated him to get rich. It's all about how you see and manage your money. Don't take risks, the poor dad would say. But the rich dad had a different perspective. Learn to manage risk. Moreover, the poor dad would often mention, "I can't afford it." On the other hand, the rich dad would encourage his children to think, "How can I afford it?" There are many more instances like these. During his teenage years, Kiyosaki thought a lot about these differences in how the two dads saw wealth. He watched their different life paths and realized that their mindsets played a big role in how much money they had. As Kiyosaki started his own career, he chose to follow the wealth concepts of his rich dad. Eventually, he found great success in the business world and achieved financial freedom early in life. Later, he gathered all his thoughts and practices about the wealth concepts of the rich dad and poor dad into this book. This book was first published in the United States in 1997, and it quickly became a bestseller. Even though more than 2 decades have passed since it was published, it still attracts a lot of readers today. In the foreword written by the publishers, they noted that the book's readership is incredibly diverse, including waitstaff in restaurants, university professors, young people with big dreams of starting businesses, and retirees enjoying their later years. The book's wide-reaching influence has surpassed the publisher's expectations and continues to endure. This book is valuable, not just because it's easy to understand and practical, but also because it emphasizes something very important: financial education. The author says wealth is like having power, and knowing how money works is even more powerful. Money can come and go, but if you know how to handle it, you can control it. Many people struggle with money, especially when they start working. This happens because we don't really learn about managing money during our school years. We don't get the chance to understand how to create and save wealth. But the good news is, it's never too late to start learning about money. It's always a good idea to improve your financial understanding. Today, let's go over the important lessons the rich dad taught the author about wealth. If we were to sum it all up in one sentence, it would be, don't work for money. Make money work for you. All the wealth-building ideas from the rich dad revolve around this sentence. In this review, we'll use this sentence to guide us through the key points in the book. First, we'll talk about why it's not a good idea to work only for money and what we should be focusing on instead. Then, we'll discuss how we can turn the tables and make money work for us. This channel is all about summarizing the main ideas of a book in 10 to 20 minutes. If you subscribe and turn on notifications, you'll be alerted whenever a new book is discussed. There's always an interesting book you won't want to miss. Now, let's get into the first part where we talk about the principle of not working for money, as explained by the rich dad. At first, this idea might sound confusing. After all, don't most of us work to earn a living and support our families? What the rich dad means is not that we shouldn't earn a salary for our work. Rather, we shouldn't focus too much on just the salary. We shouldn't become slaves to money. The rich dad painted a vivid image for the author: a donkey pulling a cart, chasing a carrot held in front of it by its owner. The donkey kept running after the carrot without knowing where it was going. Similarly, many people spend their lives chasing higher salaries and more raises without considering where their life's path is leading. They've turned themselves into slaves of money. So, why do people end up in this situation? The rich dad believes it's because they let emotions take over their thinking. The main emotions he's talking about are fear and greed. Some people work because they're afraid. When they're broke, they fear not being able to pay bills, losing their livelihood, and having to start over. So, they work hard to earn money. But does this fear go away once they have money? Not necessarily. Many people find that even after becoming wealthy, they still fear losing that wealth, and they remain in a state of fear. The rich dad even knows some wealthy folks who are more scared than they were when they had less. They're afraid of losing their fancy houses, cars, and the lavish lifestyle money gives them. They worry that if they lose their money, their friends will look down on them. Interestingly, the more wealth they amass, the stronger this fear becomes. It leads many of them to feel hopeless and anxious. Apart from fear, the book talks about another feeling, greed, or, as the rich dad often says, desire. Many people work because they desire things. They want bigger houses, fancier food, stylish clothes, and flashy sports cars, among other things. They think they'll find happiness once they have all these things, but the happiness money brings is often short-lived. Soon, they need more money to chase more happiness, comfort, and security. This cycle keeps repeating. The rich dad believes that fear or desire takes over people's minds, replacing thoughtful thinking. They think that working hard to earn money will calm their souls troubled by fear and desire, but in reality, it doesn't work that way. So, how can we free ourselves from this trap? The rich dad's advice is clear. We need to change our perspective. Instead of working just for a paycheck, we should work to learn new skills. When we work on improving our skills continually, we gain a deep sense of security. Earning money then becomes a natural outcome of this process. In the author's own career journey, he has always stuck to this concept of the rich dad. In 1969, after the author finished school at the United States Merchant Marine Academy, he got a job at Standard Oil Company. This company offered good pay and long vacations, making it seem like a great job. However, 6 months later, he decided to quit and join the Marine Corps to learn how to fly. After 3 years in the Marine Corps, he quit again and found a sales job at a company called Xerox. Interestingly, even when he became one of the best salespeople there, he quit again. This time, he started his first company, making and selling nylon wallets. Many people wonder why the author changed jobs so often, especially when things were going well. Even his biological father disagreed with his job changes. The reason was that what mattered most to him in a job was not just the pay or benefits, but whether he could learn new skills. For example, he went to the United States Merchant Marine Academy and worked at Standard Oil Company to learn about international trade. Then, he joined the Marine Corps to understand leadership. He chose Xerox because it had the best sales training program in the country, which helped him overcome the fear of approaching people and facing rejection. Later, he left to start his own business, wanting to practice his management skills. Starting his first company was just the beginning. He went on to bigger business ventures in international trade, gradually gaining financial freedom. As we look at this journey, we can see that the author followed a valuable lesson from the rich dad. Don't focus too much on short-term rewards like pay and benefits. Instead, place importance on the new skills you can acquire and develop through your work. The author's experience teaches us that as you keep improving your personal skills, earning money naturally follows. Let's delve a bit deeper into personal skills. Looking at the author's path, he didn't limit himself to one area, mastering just one specialized skill. Instead, he explored various fields to learn a range of new skills. This aligns with what the rich dad also believes it's better to become proficient in multiple useful skills rather than being excellent in just one. In simpler terms, focusing on enhancing a variety of personal skills, as highlighted in the book, is more valuable than having expertise in just one area. In today's world, especially with the uncertainties brought by artificial intelligence, many people are realizing that while we might not be able to outperform computers and algorithms in specific specialized skills and methods, we excel in integrating various types of knowledge and transferring them. This ability to integrate knowledge widely is crucial. Therefore, as time goes on and technology rapidly evolves, we might need to transform ourselves into multifunctional individuals, like a Swiss Army knife, enhancing our abilities through learning from different fields. All right, we've covered the first part of Don't Work for Money. Make money work for you. Now, let's move on to the latter part. Make money work for you. What does it mean to make money work for you? Let's begin with an example from the author's life. In 1994, the author decided to retire, even though he was just 47 years old. This wasn't because he had nothing to do, but because he had built up enough wealth by that time to sustain him for the rest of his life without needing to work. He achieved this by understanding how to make money work for him, a valuable lesson from the rich dad. The key to making money work for you is accumulating assets. These are things that can increase in value over time and bring in money without you having to actively work for it. This is often called asset appreciation. However, it's crucial to understand what kind of assets the rich dad is referring to. These are things like stocks, funds, bonds, intellectual property rights, and similar items. These assets can put money in your pocket without you needing to work for it. On the other hand, belongings like computers, mobile phones, and private cars, though many people consider them assets, are seen as liabilities by the rich dad. This is because they don't generate income for us. Instead, they take money out of our pockets. Moreover, many people often use credit cards, installment payments, or loans to buy these items, making them fall into the category of liabilities. So, what about houses, antiques, jewelry, brand name watches, and bags? Are they assets or liabilities? Well, it depends. If you buy them with the intention of their value increasing in the future and potentially boosting your income, then they are considered assets. However, if you buy these things for personal use, like a house to live in, a fancy watch for display, or jewelry for beauty, they're seen as liabilities. The rich dad believes that the key to becoming wealthy is to have fewer liabilities and more assets. This is what it means to make money work for you. When a dollar goes into your assets, it's like hiring a new employee. This employee can work for you 24/7, making money for you and even benefiting your future generations. Accumulate fewer liabilities and more assets means that for people who already have some wealth, it's smart to not spend everything on daily expenses or put it all in the bank. Instead, you should invest a part of it. A counterexample to this is when some people suddenly receive a large sum of money, like through inheritance, a big reward, or winning the lottery. Their financial situation improves drastically, but after a few years, they struggle again. Some athletes and stars also earn a lot when they're young but face financial problems later in life. The author says this happens because their way of thinking about money is still like someone who's poor. When they get money, their first thought is spending, not about making that money grow. They don't think about putting more money into assets. The author also points out that many people don't realize that what matters most isn't how much money you make during your life, but how much of it you keep and turn into assets. So far, we've discussed the important idea behind the phrase, accumulate fewer liabilities and more assets. Fewer liabilities and more assets is a good plan for those who have already saved up some money. But what about people who are just starting their careers and haven't saved much yet? The author suggests being a bit cautious with spending and not getting into too much debt. Also, save more money and let it grow by investing in assets as soon as possible. Does this mean we can't buy the things we really want? Not exactly. The author is suggesting that we shouldn't rush to buy what we want as soon as we get money. Instead, we should try to use the money generated by our assets to buy what we desire. Here's an example. The author has a friend whose teenage son wanted a car. It didn't have to be a fancy car. $3,000 was enough. The friend could afford it easily, but he didn't buy the car directly for his son. Instead, he took out $3,000 and said, "This money is yours, but you can't use it to buy a car right away. Invest it. When you earn $6,000, you can use $3,000 to buy a car, and the remaining $3,000 will be for your college fund." The author thinks this is a great approach. Even though turning $3,000 into $6,000 is challenging, the process itself is incredibly valuable for his friend's son. It sparked his interest in learning about investing and financial knowledge. Plus, it taught him an important, rich mindset to pay for the things he wants by increasing his assets slowly. When the income from your assets can cover all your expenses, you've truly achieved financial freedom. To sum up the book's message of Make Money Work for You, it's about gathering fewer debts, acquiring more valuable items, and buying what you desire by growing your valuable possessions. The author, following his rich dad's perspective, believes this is a crucial wealthy mindset. If we dig deeper into this mindset, it's like running your assets as your personal business. What does that mean? Here's an example from the book. The author knew someone in his MBA class who was taught by Ray Kroc, the person behind McDonald's success. Interesting fact, Ray Kroc, not the McDonald brothers who opened the first McDonald's restaurant, is the official founder. He transformed McDonald's into a widely recognized global brand. During a casual beer meetup after a class, Kroc asked the students, "Who can tell me what I do?" The room laughed, and a brave student responded, "You make hamburgers." Kroc chuckled and replied, "I knew you would say that, but you're wrong. I'm actually not in the hamburger business. My real business is real estate." Why did he say that? Let's break it down. You know McDonald's has many franchisees worldwide. These franchisees pay McDonald's in three ways: an initial franchise fee, a licensing fee, and the biggest part of the money, which is rent. Why do franchisees pay rent to McDonald's instead of paying landlords directly? It's because the franchisees don't get to choose the location themselves. McDonald's picks the spot for them. After selecting the location, McDonald's takes care of everything and rents the store to the franchisees. The rent they pay to McDonald's is more than what McDonald's pays to the actual landlord. This allows McDonald's to make a profit in between. If you look at McDonald's yearly reports, you'll notice that their biggest source of profit isn't the money from selling food and drinks. It's actually the rent paid by the franchise stores. McDonald's secures a good location, signs a long-term contract for 20 or 30 years, and then rents out the property using a set of organized operations. This process closely resembles how a real estate developer operates. So, when Ray Kroc says his real business is real estate, it's indeed accurate. The author's friend considered Kroc's words the most crucial lesson in his life. Although he ran a car wash, his most significant business was effectively managing the real estate related to the car wash. People like Kroc and the author's friend are those we talked about earlier, those who handle assets like running a business. But what about regular office workers? The author suggests we need to understand a critical point. A job is not the same as a business. When the author asks people what their business is, many say they work in a specific company or a bank. However, the author believes that working for someone else to earn money isn't truly a business. Our main focus in our personal business should always be our own assets. When unexpected events occur, the world changes, or risks increase. Relying solely on your boss or salary won't always help you overcome difficulties. It's your accumulated personal assets that you can rely on during tough times. So, paying attention to our business means not only doing our jobs well, but also, and more importantly, managing our assets effectively. Many things can be considered our assets beyond just stocks, bonds, funds, and real estate. Intellectual property rights, businesses that can run smoothly without your constant presence, or things that have the potential to increase in value can also be assets. The author suggests that when we buy assets, we should choose ones that align with our preferences. This way, we'll be more motivated to invest time in understanding and researching them. making it easier for these assets to grow in value. For instance, if you're interested in stocks, focus on them. If bonds intrigue you, choose them. Everyone has different preferences. Regardless of the assets we choose, we must understand one crucial thing. Our mind is our most vital asset. When properly trained and nurtured, our mind can help us enhance the value of other assets and amass wealth. To enhance our financial intelligence or improve our financial quotient, the author suggests we strengthen our knowledge in 4 key areas: finance, investment, marketing, and law. Remember, financial knowledge forms the foundation of this learning journey. Now, let's sum up the essential points from the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. To put it simply, wealth is a form of power, but having financial knowledge or financial smarts is an even more potent form of power. Money can come and go, but if you truly understand how money operates, you can control it. In today's discussion, we revisited the crucial lessons about wealth that the author learned from his rich dad. If we had to condense these lessons into one sentence, it would be, don't work for money. Let money work for you. Breaking down this sentence, the first part emphasizes that we shouldn't focus too much on our salary in our work. Becoming fixated on salary can make us slaves to money. Many individuals spend their whole lives chasing higher salaries and more raises without considering where their life's path should really lead. This perpetual chase turns them into slaves of money. Rich Dad believed that fear or desire often dominates people's minds, taking over logical thinking. People believe that making money frantically will ease their fears and desires, but this approach doesn't actually work. To escape being enslaved by money, we need to understand a crucial idea. Our work isn't just about earning wages. It's about learning new skills. Real security comes from constantly enhancing our personal skills and expanding the range of skills we've mastered. Earning money is a natural outcome of this process. In the second part, we discussed how to make money work for us, which means accumulating fewer debts, gathering more assets that appreciate in value, and using the increased value of assets to afford what we desire. The author and his rich dad highlight a crucial mindset, treating assets like your own business. To effectively manage our assets, we must strengthen our understanding of finance, investment, marketing, and law, with a strong foundation in financial knowledge. If time is a constraint, we can entrust our assets to professionals for management. It's vital to recognize your limits in knowledge, especially in investing, as disregarding this can pose a significant risk. While Rich Dad, Poor Dad might not present groundbreaking ideas today, being a financial education classic for over 20 years, its enduring influence is due to its revelation of fundamental truths about accumulating wealth. For example, prioritize enhancing personal skills over simply working for money, and instead of saying I can't afford it, ask how can I afford it? Also, don't rush to spend money you earn. Focus on increasing asset value. Understanding the distinction between your career and your own business is key. Recognize when to seek professional help and never engage in activities beyond your knowledge. Now, a revelation. The author's father pursued education at renowned universities such as Stanford University, the University of Chicago, and Northwestern University. Both the author and his rich dad had the opportunity to pursue higher education with full scholarships. However, their differing perspectives on wealth shaped their life journeys. These timeless truths about wealth have been discussed in numerous financial and personal growth books over the past 2 decades. According to USA Today, Rich Dad, Poor Dad serves as an essential starting point for anyone aiming to take charge of their financial future. The hope is that each one of us, starting from this point, can metaphorically plant our own wealth tree. By nurturing it year after year, we can witness it grow and provide stability amidst life's uncertainties. We'll conclude our discussion of this book here. Consider subscribing to Business Books. Summarize, feel free to share your thoughts on wealth in the comments section. You can explore more books on my homepage, and I encourage you to get the original book for an in-depth understanding. See you in the next book.